Hi everyone, Ted Simpson here, and here is Maisie. Oh, I thought I would introduce my little animal friend. She is, whoa, not very interested in being on camera, so that is it. So I'm just going to do a fun little painting here today. I've got a couple of different colors out here that I have hardly any of. So I thought I would do a small painting here on a 16 by 20 canvas. I thought I'd do a quick little painting because it's Tuesday. It's nice rainy weather here, so let's keep it going. I'm going to put a little bit of the liquid white out here. Let's do a crisscross this time, a nice X. And then I'm going to work this in here with my little old 2-inch brush. So, look at that. Just spreading this out. So I am about, what, a week and a half into my monetization? Maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. Are you supposed to keep track of this? I'm not too good at that. And I see here that my revenue is skyrocketing. I might even break $8 sometime today. Which I know it takes a little bit to build up a sizable audience here. It's taken me a while here just to get to my 1,100 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate those that watch my videos, those that comment, those that send me messages asking for advice on their own paintings. It's my pleasure. This is my passion. This is what I do for a full-time job. Travel all around. I've got a class later today, but if I don't keep pumping out these YouTube videos, then I'll stop doing them, you know? So I just got to keep doing them, and hopefully you'll keep watching. So, what do I have here today? Clean off my brush here just with my paper towel. So the only things I have laid out here: titanium white, a bit of phthalo blue, my mountain mixture, Van Dyke brown, and dark sienna. So let me pull a little bit of that phthalo blue out there, work it into the brush a little bit, and let's just get a quick little sky going. Using this color, pushing really firm on the brush to move the color, hitting it nice and light to soften. The more you work it, the more it'll fill in these little light areas and such, and you just sort of dance around, dropping this in. I'm kind of doing both steps at once today. I'm applying the color and blending at the same time. It's a little more difficult when your brush is full of paint to do this. And once in a while here, let's see, I'm going to get a little bit more color. I want it a little deeper blue right up in this area. Working it from the corner out and down. Let's go ahead and get a little more paint in the brush and drop some in this corner here too. Kind of going for a super cold sky today. I'm going to have some blue in there. I'll tell you what, let's change it up a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of this mountain mixture, knock it into that phthalo blue to make a darker color. Ooh, there we go. Look at that. Almost looks like some background clouds happening in there. I don't know. I like that so much. Let's drop some in this side. All right. Now, keep working, keep working, keep working it. Starts to get a little soupy. That little bit of liquid white on there. You know, I didn't even test it, did I? I had to give it a little tap. Yeah, got the right amount. But sometimes here you have a lot of paint in your brush and you just see the streaks, they just won't end. So you just stop, you clean your brush, then you go over and do any final softening. Something like that. And maybe we'll have a little bit of water in our scene here. I think our water's going to be here. Ooh, that came out bright. And I'm just going to work my way down. Normally we'll work from the bottom up. We're getting crazy here today. Just dropping some color in it. Some of it will be water. Some of it will be just shadows in our snow. Did I spill the beans? Did I let the cat out of the bag? Yes, we're doing a winter scene. I think I might have said that already, so never mind. All right, I tell you what, let me take a 1-inch brush here. And I'm just going to load some of this titanium white into my brush. Take a look at where the paint is, though, you know? You really just want to pull some down and then tap it. Get some paint worked up in there. And let's go ahead and ha-bam! Tap. Getting some color off there. Look at that. I'm going to do one little cloud at a time. Barely touch, soften the bottom. And then just a couple of wispy strokes over the cloud. That's it. Maybe another one right there. Ooh, there's a chunky cloud. Barely touch. Wispy stroke across. Maybe there'll just be something off here in the back. Just lighten it up a little. No distinct cloud, just a lighter area. Why not? All right, let's see what we got. I'm going to take some of that phthalo blue and some mountain mix, work them together. Maybe just a touch of white. So not a super dark color. Ooh, that white didn't do really anything, did it? There it did. Less dark color, lighter result. And cut off my roll of paint here, and let's just make a nice tall mountain today. go. Do we got a little bump right there? I think we do. Pushing that paint right into the fabric, and then scrape it off the excess. Got a little bead of color there. I'm just going to kind of knock it off there. There we go. And I think this mountain's just going to travel. And it travels up, makes a little bump. Maybe a couple little bumps. Ugh. Doesn't work so when you don't have enough paint. Look at that. You get enough paint on your knife and it just happens a lot easier, doesn't it? There we go. We're just scraping the excess off anyway. Well, might as well put some on there. Something like that. All right. Before I go too much further, just wipe the excess paint out of my brush. Let's see about just using the 2-inch brush here. Pull in some of this peak right on down to the right. Look at that, just using the color that's already there. Oh gosh, I got so many choices. So many peaks to do here. You don't have to do them in any particular order here, but just trying to move the right sides of the peak to the right and the left sides basically to the left. And look at this, you can kind of map out your mountain just like that. You're not committed, but it is a good way to make an interesting idea of what your mountain's going to do, and you get to change it as many times as you want before we start doing the highlights. I just like doing this, and look at that, we just try to get this. It already looks pretty three-dimensional, doesn't it? A little bit darker, deeper color at the top, a little lighter down here, and it's just going to come right on down to the horizon line here. My horizon line's kind of right before this watery thing. Okay. So, I think it's time for some highlights. Take my titanium white, pull it out as flat as I can get it. A little bit of blue in there is not going to hurt anything. I'm going to get a couple of paper towels prepped here. Cut off my roll of paint. Maybe a little bigger roll of paint. Let's see how that goes today. Touch, feel that paint stick. Just drop it out there. Feel that paint stick. Kind of give it a little wiggle, a little jiggle. Just let it come off where it wants to. Just focusing on some of this side here. We want to see some highlights and shadows. So the trick is, don't fill it all in. Cut off a roll, and maybe got another little peak here. Nothing wrong about running out of paint, just get another roll and continue where you left off. Barely touching. I don't have much paint, and it's really, really flat after I go over it a couple times, so you have to come in very flat to the canvas to get any last little bits off. Okay, now back here, not very much. There's not too much going on back here. Got a little. Ooh, just changed that one. Okay, that wasn't so bad. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make up a shadow color here. Now, instead of wiping a lot of that paint off right onto the paper towel, I saved some of it, and it has a little bit of blue in it, so at least I didn't contaminate it all here. A little bit of the phthalo blue, touch of this background color. And let's make a little interesting marbly mix. And I think here, using the small side of my knife, I might put a little indication on this one here first. Not much. Something back there a little bit. It's the opposite direction here. That's what creates that 3D effect. Okay. Not much going on here. Hardly any paint on my knife. Hardly anything. Just want to put some little things happening in here. Not much. Now that I'm coming up to my bigger one, and now I could use the big side of the knife here, the long edge. Dropping these little things in here, wherever you think they might be. Now whatever you feel comfortable with here, you can use the small knife itself, or just the short side of the large knife. Whatever works for you. Just dropping this in. Just light little touches. Maybe a little bit more here. Let's strengthen this up a little bit. And now that we got the first highlights and the first layer of shadows, I come back to my highlight. Ooh, that's an older tube. There's some little dry bits in there. I'll just kind of work around those. And maybe, there's another little outcropping there. Trying to break up that straight line just by putting in this little J turn. A little bit of a shadow color again. Come in there and give that new peak its own shadow. Same thing with this here. And when you're looking at it, you might think to yourself, that needs to be a little longer. Need a little more out there. Put a new shadow in there. Don't forget to come up and give it the appropriate amount of shadow. This here, just want to calm this down a little bit. No paint on my knife. I'm just sort of rubbing the base of that, sort of darkening the highlight just a little bit, creating a little bit of a depth and distance back there. Alright, so with my mostly clean 2-inch brush here, let me do a couple little pat-pats. Tappa-tappa, sweepa-sweepa. Create a little bit of mist and fog here at the base. Same thing here with this highlight side. Sweep, 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 sweep. A couple of crisscrosses as needed. Just creating a nice misty back here. Oh, I like that. So I've loaded my brush up with this color here. It's a little bit darker than the base of the mountain here, so hopefully the next layer stands out a little bit. Now the object here is to tap and go. Filling it in. So really, all you need to worry about is put your hand up here. Does that look good to you? That's fine. Don't worry about the rest. And I'm just tapping, making some interesting little treetops there. It's very important that you reload often. We load, we unload. Sometimes I just flip the brush over and get a couple more out of it. Or you can just focus on just a little bit of the brush. Now, big tip for you here. It's always going to come out darker than you think. This is pretty light looking, I thought, but look how dark this comes out. Just dropping in all these little indications. Up, 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 down, 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 down. Fill in the middle. Up, 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 down, down, down. Look at that. Look at that nice variation there. And then if you have any little open areas here where it looks like fence posts, a couple little tappy taps will fill those in. There we go. Something like that. Now I do want to try to even it out a little bit so it all ends roughly the same. It makes putting the reflections a little easier. Something like that. So, I'll take my brush here, grab a little bit of that color, press in, see that? Press in and pull down. Press in and pull down. Look how fast that goes with the 2-inch brush. Soften it, and then hit it once or twice sideways to blur it. Beautiful little reflections. All right, let's take a little bit of the liquid white, moosh it out flat, get some right up on the edge of the knife. For this, you just want it on the edge of the knife, not the sides. It'll shock you how fast you'll get done with it here, and probably you're at risk of loading too much, let's say. We're trying for a fairly subtle effect. And if it is too strong, clean your knife and just rub at it and watch it just calm down. See that? Now, in this scene here, I took a little bit of that pure mountain mix, and I'm just going to darken this same batch of color, just significantly darker. Kind of using what was already in my brush here. And maybe we'll have a little line of taller background trees, a whole peninsula here. That. If they're darker, they'll stand out. It's a lot more of the mountain mixture in there, just so that it looks like it's closer. There we go. Look at that. There we go. Same thing. Come up here, press in, pull it down. And blur. Okay. Not much different here. Just adding a touch of the liquid white, creating an indication of where the tree line meets the water. That was a little too strong. I didn't like it, so I just kept rubbing at it. And then I can strengthen it again if I need to. Sometimes strengthen it again makes me do it too much again. So you just gotta play around with it, figure out what looks good to you. There we go. If you don't like it, we'll cover it up with something. Okay. Case in point. I'm going to clean out this brush here. Ooh, that was a lot of paint. Give it a little pinch. That's clean. So, just in case we need it again, I'm just going to move this out of the way. That's it. Now I'm just going into the pure mountain mix, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to add just a touch of the browns to it. What the heck? Just to make it even darker. It'll dull down that bluish tint. Give me a little more volume of paint at the same time. There we go. Still got plenty of mountainy goodness in here. Mountain mixture is basically black, crimson, Prussian blue, a little bit of brown in it. So let us make, let's do one over here. What the heck? Maybe, whoop, right there. Taller. There it is. Here we go. Did you watch my videos, my little shorts, the Nature's Brush Basic videos? It's all about evergreens here for these first few episodes of the Nature's Brush Basics series. Ooh, that line. Supposed to be a little center line here, but you're meant to cover it up. So if it happens that I cover this one up a little, that's okay. It's kind of a guideline here to what's left and right. But you see, if I accidentally change my tree a little bit, that's all right. Just like that, we cover it up. This is a big old tree, isn't it? Just needs to be basically dark. Bring it down, maybe just a little bit more. Something like that. Some big old limbs on this one. Okay, let's drop a couple of evergreens in this one. This one a little taller. Maybe just to straighten it out. I'm having a hard time keeping these lines here straight. I think that's just a more of a me problem. So just looking for some dark shapes here. We'll figure out what trees are what where the highlights are once we get going here. So as I said here, if you watch those Nature's Brush basic videos here, I go a little bit more in depth on making the various evergreens with the different brushes. And I hope those are helpful. I got a few more ideas up my sleeve once I finish the evergreen series. Oop, that one did not bend right, so let's just make that one a little taller. And tap, there it is, tap, 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 tap. Now I just did 3 videos, the second one was posted yesterday, but believe it or not, you can make evergreens with just about any brush here, so if you got a hankering for seeing a different brush than what I've already done, let me know. There we go. Couple of 3-4 trees there. I think that's enough for now. We've got some bushes happening here too. So I'm going to grab another 1-inch brush here that doesn't have a bunch of white in it, like I did for my clouds. And let's go ahead and pull some of this remaining color. I don't think I have enough out here on the palette. Let's scrape it up and see how much I got. There, I do have enough. It was just a little too flat. So I'm going to tap into some of that color, and let's just put in some dark stuff around the base of the tree here. Something like that. Maybe a little bit kind of comes out like that. Got a couple little bushes around the base of these trees. Maybe it comes out a little bit, just like that. Ugh. Maybe a little more over there, I don't know. Okay, now, while I have this white in my brush here, let's join these. Just press in and pull. Pull that snow out. Look at that. Got some highlights going here, and some of that blue that was initially the sky and the watercolor kind of gives us some shadow. Not kinda, it does give us some shadow. So just pushing firmly and dragging out. Pushing firmly and dragging it out. More paint on the brush, comes off a little brighter. But not everything needs to be stark Arctic white. Variation is good here. So I'm going to give this a couple of sweeps back and forth, and let's back up a little and evaluate. I think we could have a little bit brighter right there. A little more shadow right there. If it's a little too bright, you just hit it again. Go over it just one more time. And don't worry, this isn't the end product here. There's going to be some bushes and such. So we're just trying to figure out, as Bob says, the lay of the land here. Look at that. We can always push a little bit more color on to make it brighter. Get some nice fades of shadow effect here. You can just hit it and then soften. Look at how it creates little snow drifts there. Maybe right there. Ooh, I like that. There it is. That feather touch just sits that white down and doesn't really drag it out. You push really firmly and you can drag it out. There we go. I love all these little cool blues happening in there, and then some darker shadows up in there. Let's call that good. Now, somewheres around here, I do have a bucket. Here it is. Let me clean out my fan brush super fast. all that mountain mix in there. Gets it all contaminated. Okay, there we go. So I'll get my liquid white. Start pulling it through the titanium white. Grab a touch of the phthalo blue. And before we do much else, almost forgot. I don't do this too often, that's why I forgot. I'll pull out a little bit of this brown and dark sienna. Got a touch of that white. Ooh, I guess I do need a little bit more white. I knew I was going to need some. Winter paintings with mountain, clouds, and snow. You bet you're going to go through some white. But let me get just a little bit of the white into that brown mixture. Cut off a little roll of paint. And maybe a little indication of the trunk. Try your best to get it near the center. Okay. Now mine didn't really, so you don't really see too much of the highlights here, so I'm going to go back, add a little bit more white, and even lighter here, just a little indication of some highlight. There we go. This one here, just a touch more. And a touch more. Oh, it gets feeling good. Bob was right. You want to keep going. So, a little bit of the highlight color here. Tap, 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 tap. Start working my way. Like making these nice little frowns. Making sure you drop down. Leaving some of that shadow color. Putting some out over those trunks. Double check myself. Need a little bit there and here. Here we go. Keep it going. Keep that brush moving. Putting these little sections in here. I'm not even going to worry about these ones all the way at the bottom because we're going to cover some of this up with all the bushes, so don't need to fret too much. There we go. Maybe a little bit more right there. Now, I don't do this too often. I'm just going to come back. I've wiped out my brush. I'm going to come back into just a little bit more of the pure white, liquid white, a little bit of titanium white, a little bit of the pure. And maybe here and there, we'll drop in some just nice snowy bright ones. Here and there. Just in those areas you think the sun is hitting a little bit stronger. If anything, it needs to be slightly thinner than your previous highlight if you expect it to stick to these little blue ones. There we go. Nice. Now, let me come back here, and we're going to be using mostly liquid white and titanium white. That way we can get these nice frosty looking highlights on our bushes. Liquid white, titanium white. Notice how I'm pulling. I think that's going to be its own little nature's brush basics. Giving these frosty highlights. Look how much paint is on there. Lots and lots of paint for one little bush. Lots of paint. And here we go. This one here I think is in the back, so we'll do this one first. Light little touches. There we go. Reload for each little bush you want to put in. Okay. I think I got some little dried bits of paint in here. That's all right, we'll get rid of them. A little bit more of the liquid white. And let's have a nice frosty one up here. Lots of paint on the brush. Very little pressure to get it to come off. Just barely touching. And it comes off all nice and lacy. One here in the front. There it is. Maybe another little one here in the front. Okay, if it's not coming off here, a little bit more liquid white. Let me show you my palette here. Lots of paint, nice and lacy here. See that? Nice. Plenty of color up in the brush. Same thing, let's do this one here in the back first. And the cool thing is building your way here, you just overlap the bottom of it, putting the next one in, really create some depth and distance in this foreground bit here. Let's put in a nice frosty one here. And working our way down to the snow line. There it is. Beautiful. I wonder, now we could stop there, but why stop there? Let's keep the fun going. I'm gonna wipe out most of that liquid white. Whoa, drop the paper towel. Let's get a little bit of this white, mostly the titanium white here, and pull it out flat as we can get it. Get a roll of paint on there. And let's try creating a different indication of highlight. Let's just see how this works. Just like snow on the mountain. Okay. And I take my brush. Let's just calm it down. Let's try that again. A little bit of snow on the knife, just like putting the highlights on the mountains. Drag a little bit of it out. And then the 1 or the 2-inch brush. I just happen to grab the 1-inch brush. Let's see what that does for us. Soften it out a little. Put some little bright things in there. Little bright spots, little snow drifts. Following the lay of our land. Add some interest there. You want it all nice and smooth and frosty, you can do that. I think that's about it. Take my knife here. Let's create a couple little sticks and twigs down here at the bottom. Any of these little dark areas here. There we go. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and sign. Oop! I guess I don't have enough contrast there. So I'll get my liner brush out and I'll sign this a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed today's painting. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.